I I wrote down in a couple of questions earlier, and it's really funny, Thomas. You had asked Dave one thing I'd written down, which is going through your college, Western Hockey League, and professional experience. And Dave, one question I have: very few people would know that you were a teacher, much like myself,
Mhm.
and coach school sports. And how much do you feel your being a teacher and your work in education influence the way you evolved as a coach?
Well, I think when you're a teacher, you have standards you have to meet in terms of how you deal with the kids. And I think that becomes just part of your routine when you're working with children or kids in a coaching situation. So obviously, it helps you because it grounds you a little bit. I think I would probably use that term. We know there's an appropriate way to deal with people. At most teaching situations now, there's an appropriate way to deal with situations. Teaching now is much more complicated, as is coaching, than it was when I was. I mean, now I've talked to teachers when they make decisions on kids, they have to go to they have to get a committee with the principal and other people, and you got to look at it, and you got to sometimes have a lawyer look at what you may be trying to do to reprimand a child or get a child in line. So it's very complicated, Wally, and that's just the nature of the beast. I think we're going to have always more and more complication, more and more things to deal with. I have two grandchildren that are teenagers, and it's interesting to watch them grow up and all the things that they have to make decisions on, right and wrong. And so it makes you understand that it's a much more complicated world now than ever before. There's so many issues, you could go on, but all I'm going to say is that growing up now is more complicated. So in sport, don't do that. Try to keep it as free of that as you can. Yes, it will be up and down. There will be moments when you think, why am I doing this? And that's why we lose a lot of coaches, because a lot of coaches just can't deal with the stress, the evaluation all the time by people who don't know enough. But that's the nature of what we do. So that's why you have to you learn to love the game and enjoy the game. And I've always just felt trying to see a bigger picture is always important. There were times in my career where I think I got real narrow. It's interesting in coaching. The expression. It's a good expression. That sometimes people say the players don't have to love you, have to respect you. Yeah, okay, I'm not totally sold on that one, but it is important to be hard to please but easy to play for, and that means you're going to try to push and not push. You're going to try to influence the kids to be better and give them help to be better, but at all times too, you're going to make sure that you're doing it the right way, and that the kids are not suffering self-esteem issues because the things that you're doing or saying. Really got to be careful in coaching today to label kids too young. Like we always slap labels on kids. He's not smart, or she's not tough enough, or whatever. Like I just tell coaches all the time, don't get too much involved with the X and O's. Keep it simple, have fun, and then make sure that you laugh a little bit and enjoy it as much as you can. But you will meet frustrations, and there will be moments when you second guess yourself, and that's when you talk to people. And doesn't hurt to read. I do a lot of reading from other coaches and recognizing that they're in the same circumstance sometimes you are. And yes, it's not always possible to be hard to please and easy to play for. There are moments when you are hard to please and hard to play for. It's part of the deal.
There's one thing, Hal Turris, I don't know if he came, I think he's gone, but he did a little video last week, and the last part is he takes the last 5 minutes of practice, and the players all gather in the middle, and everybody has to say something good how to a teammate about what they did during that practice, and not a general thing like, something very specific what they did during the practice. So I heard that and I tried that on Tuesday night, and it seemed to work pretty good. And I'm interested to hear the feedback, especially from my assistant coach, Emily, because she hears from the girls a lot. But it was, so I took the 5 minutes at the end and they did that. And so something interesting to try. Hal says it works great with him. The players ask for it if you don't do it.
Tom, on the weekend, Jordan coaching his U18 team after the game at Father David Bauer, we went to the meeting room and they had supper. And after the supper, he handed out a Wayne Halliwell sheet that he had revised to suit the nature of his team, putting down descriptors of players, just 3 or 4 words that, and on the flip side, just hold
Ollie,
it.
you're popular.
Yeah, I just had to cut it off here. And what they did is the players had to write down the player on the team who fit the descriptor, the title. And it was somebody that was, the person you could go to talk about, and the listener, the one you would trust, or the one you would felt was the energy bunny, the one that picked your spirits up. And they went around the entire room and used that sheet. So everybody had to comment on the player they had put down in that category. And of course, once they mentioned the name, other people put their hands up as well as having that name down. And on the flip side, this is where the Halliwell thing came in. Players had to write down, okay, who would they invite? They didn't write it down. He just talked about it. Think about who you'd want to come over to spend time with your family, and who'd you want to be in the bunker with? And I'm sure you've all heard that before. And it was just a neat activity at the U18 level. So, those are the kind of communication things that have really transported from the past. Wayne Halliwell did that with our national programs as a sports psychologist for many years. And here you've got a U18 coach applying it, working with girls to better their game and make them better people and create a better team atmosphere. And I think that getting parents to appreciate that is huge. And I found with the manager there, the female manager of the team, a mother of one of the players, she was very impressed. And I think overall the team is impressed because one thing Jordan does is he sends out a weekly little bit of a descriptor of the week, how the weekend went, and what they're doing this week. And it's all really professionally written. So he keeps the parents informed in a general way. But there's a lot of coaches doing that kind of stuff. And I think the greatest need in human nature is the need to be appreciated. And I know I personally appreciate everything the coaches do. The players to me are incredible. They're so much smarter, able to absorb more information, think deeper, and wonder more, at least on the female side, than I ever did as a player. And so I think there's some learning to be had here as an educator and as a coach about the capacity of your athletes or your young student athletes and making the most of the experience for them. So
Wally, on that note, I just want to add a little anecdote. I have a little kid. He's 11 years old. He's in Toronto and he wanted to work with me. So he sends me clips and he's 11 years old. And he says, Thomas, here's the clip. I'm joining the rush. Then it goes into a kick out. And then I'll delay. And then I exit kill. And I go back to defending the rush. He's 11 years old and he's like a head coach from the National Hockey League, like it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And I think that's something we're not respectful enough of. Like as a coach of that team, as an adult, well, we know it. We've been there. We've done that.
I know.
And I mean, YouTube, they look at YouTube like way more than we do, and they'll watch highlights and players they love. And so they're absorbing more information, not just sports information, societal information, what's happening in the real world out there. And so what they're exposed to isn't as simple as what we were exposed to.
You're right. You're right.
And so coaching the generation coming up, we've got a lot of work to do. I think it's a great opportunity to get to another level of function.
If I may, last question for Dave. Last one, if I may. I know I've hijacked the whole 2 hours today. I was very selfish. May I one more question?
Sure, go ahead.
Dave, when you work with the Russian team, do you and you watch the video, do you have a process? Do you watch just the shifts, or do you watch just the retrievals, just the exits, just the forecheck, just the entries? Do you have a process?
Yeah, I do. I've always kind of done the same thing. I try to watch the video, and I try to not focus. I make sure I don't focus too much on the puck. I watch the tape. I know where the puck is like a player. I have to know where the puck is, but I'm trying to watch a bigger picture. So I detach myself from just the player with the puck and the closest players there. I try to expand my view a little bit and always try to take in a bigger picture as I'm watching the video. And I found that if I do see something, Thomas, I want to narrow in on, I just stop it like you would. Go back, focus in your attention to that one small part of it. But when I watch the game, and sometimes I actually start to be in some situations, for example, on breakouts, sometimes I'll say, okay, I'm the free defenseman. So I'll watch it and I'll think like I'm the free defenseman. What can I do for that defenseman? What option should I give him here? So I do that. It just depends upon what I'm focused on, but I try to make sure I don't just focus on the player with the puck. I try to watch as many players as I can and distance myself from the puck without losing sight of the puck. And then I do, Thomas, times I find with this Russian team, I do look for themes. So some days I'll really, really, really concentrate on one part of the game. It might be a small, like second quick. If you look at second man quick stuff and situations there, you're really focused on a small part of the game. But it's what I deliver that day. So that's the message, and I narrow my focus.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Very good. Thank you.
Dave, I just wanted this just came to my mind now. I'm been given a role of mentoring coaches. And I've reached the point where you don't know what to say or say anything. And in reality, they have to ask questions. And that's the bottom line. And the more experience they have, the more open they are to conversation. The less experienced they are, they don't know what questions to ask because they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah,
And it's really the biggest and most challenging part. And Thomas, I'm sure when you observe in your role, even though it's in a different capacity in an organization, you have your thoughts, they're valuable. And how do you communicate to the people that you work with in a way that it it becomes a learning experience for everyone?
Dave, do you want to go or do you
yeah.
want
I'll keep my answer very short. Like when I do coaching conferences and I'm delivering a topic, as much as I can, I always mark in my presentation uh, time for a question. So I'll stop and I'll always ask the coaches, okay, this is a point I'm making here, and I'll pose a question and I get feedback because that tells me right away, am I losing them? Sometimes when somebody gives you feedback from the group, it has a real impact on the group. It's not just you always giving the same information. So I just try to, as much as I can, engage the people I'm talking to and presenting to and asking their ideas, their impressions. If I don't get the response that's complete enough, I'll always acknowledge, that, hey, thank you for that feedback, some really good things. Here's a couple more things I would add to that. And so I try to make sure if I engage people, I never embarrass them. I make sure that they realize we appreciate the comments, and I just try to fill in the blanks if it's required.
It's the art of questioning.
Yeah.
um,
Tom?
yeah, my role is very specific because I don't coach the players. I don't coach the Leafs players. I don't coach the Marlies players. And I don't coach the prospects that we have here in Europe. So one thing I had to learn, and I'm still learning, is to deliver the message through other people. And so I have to find who the player is trusting, who is impactful, whether it's the GM, head coach, assistant coach, teammate, and I try to deliver the message through other people. So it's like what Dave said, I am not the guy. Like I am just a very small yet important part of the big puzzle, and I'm trying to use other people to get the message that needs to be delivered to the player, and of course in consultation with other coaches, development coaches, video coaches, statisticians. So this job has really taught me to be a part of a bigger, big picture. And it's not about me. And sometimes the best message is the one that you don't deliver, that you hold off, that you're patient with, and you wait for the right time. And the best thing is, of course, when the player comes to you and says, Thomas, what do you think? Then I have to be ready with my information, with my video, with my feedback. And so sometimes holding back is more important than coming and, hey, listen, I have something for you. And working with the Finns, the prospects in Finland that will play for the Maple Leafs, I got to know the father of Sebastian Aho. He's a general manager in Finland, and he said one thing that I think is correct is he says this new generation needs a bigger why. They need to have the things way better explained, deeper explained, and they have to have a bigger context of why it's happening. So that's one thing I will never forget is like bigger why. And so before I deliver a feedback to a player, I have to know whether he's having a good streak, he's got good games, or he's injured, or he's not feeling good. What is the context of the situation before I even attempt to deliver a message?
It's good.
Thank you, Thomas. Excellent. Excellent. Well, 2 hours and 16 minutes and 48 seconds. That's a pretty good shark session today. Dave, thank you so much for coming on.
Yep.
I'm going to have to book some flights to go to Winnipeg. I won't be around this weekend, Tom. My brother was involved in an accident in Winnipeg, so I'm going to visit him. And I just want to thank everybody for coming on. And I'm glad we got to meet Laura. I've known her for a number of years. Just a tremendous mind for the game. And of course, Sammy joining today was a real bonus. Great young ladies. And I think the thing, Thomas, you and I have learned from working with the women over so many years is the emotional intelligence and the ability to want to know why and understand.
Yeah,
Not just listen to being told what to do and doing it.
absolutely.
I think young boys today, like the boy who's sending you video, is like that, because sending you video, he's looking for information from you. He
Yeah.
is asking you.
Yeah.
And that's ahead of the curve at 11 years old. So
He's sending me video and I am learning from him.
oh, yeah. And of course that's, and that's, we learned the student is the teacher is the reality. And Tom uses the phrase, let the game teach.
Yeah.
So the idea of deliberate practice and coaching and directing and telling, there's a fine line between training and practicing, and the idea of being able to apply those skills into decision making in a game. And I think the thing that I observe more is the difference in coaching staffs and their approaches, all achieving really good results, but with very different approaches. But the bottom line is they're open to learning. And